Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fast Football and Philosophy with me, Dr. Adam Foxon.
And me, Professor Jack Cunningham.
Jack, have you seen, before we do a bit of a recap of what we did last week, have you seen Catherine Connolly, the new president of Ireland, and her doing Keep Uppies?
It's amazing. 68 years old, and she is outstanding. I mean, if ever, we were talking last week about the women's game shaking off bad faith. There is a woman who has shaken off the bad faith that women can't do these things, especially women in their late 60s. Fair play to her. That is decent.
Somebody in the comments said that she was a generational athlete, which I thought was quite.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, back in the day, she said she regularly did over 100 keepy uppies. Which, I think my record is about 3.
On a good day.
On a good day, yeah.
Talking about one generational athlete to another then. Troy Parrott, Jack.
Oh, come on.
Troy Parrott scored 5 goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
They beat Portugal. So there's a bit of narrative here as well, actually, right? Because Ronaldo in the pre-match press conference, because there's a bit of needle between Ireland and Portugal, because Portugal Ronaldo really had a bit of a ding dong with the Irish side in the reverse fixture, right? And now they have this game, and in this pre-match thing, Ronaldo saying, "I'm going to be a good boy, and I hope the fans don't boo me," and all this kind of stuff. And then he gets sent off. Ireland beat Portugal 2-0.
Yeah.
And then you go away to Hungary, play second. They are second in their league table. Hungary, who are doing really well, they've got Dominic Szoboszlai in the middle of the pitch bossing it. And then you go and beat them 3-2. It's Troy Parrott hat-trick.
You couldn't write this stuff. This is absolutely, this is going to go down in legendary football lore in Ireland. It's absolutely, and the supporters at the minute are getting a real sniff. We might be going to another World Cup. And to be honest with you, if I was FIFA, I would pay for Ireland to go to the World Cup just because they bring their supporters with them, and it's a better World Cup if you have the Republic of Ireland team in it. So let's just hope these playoffs go the right way.
Couple more games. That's all it is.
Yeah. And maybe me and you, whether we like it or not, we'll have to go out there, Adam, and
whatever's best for the pod, Jack. We'll do it.
We'll make that sacrifice.
I will go to Florida and I will watch some football for the pod. So actually, Troy Parrott himself, he's a bit of a wonder kid himself, and he was kind of this amazing product of the Spurs Academy, and he goes on and on and on, but then it never really works out for him for whatever reason it is, and then he has to go away to Holland, and I can't remember where he goes. It's something like Excelsior, and then now he's at RZ Alkmaar, and he's doing amazing things there, and then he comes back to Ireland and he does his thing, obviously on the World Cup stage. Well, not quite the World Cup stage, but almost there, and it's amazing really to see. But today's episode is going to be entirely focused on Wonder Kids themselves, and probably the creme de la creme of Wonder Kids, especially at the moment, contemporaneously, in Lamine Yamal and the sheer shenanigans that are going on around that boy. So what can you tell us about? What can philosophy, what can the kind of our intellectual history tell us about the potential tragedy that could be Lamine Yamal and his inflamed pubic area?
Well, let us go to, not to pure philosophy per se, but to a Greek classical myth that lots of philosophers right up into the modern era have commented on, and that is the myth of King Midas. Okay, now this myth give you a kind of amalgamation of the versions today. So there is a satyr who is a teacher, a tutor to a god called Bacchus, and Bacchus or Dionysus is the god of wine. Okay, but that's not, and he's often portrayed as being drunk, but that's not just what wine is. The Greeks really appreciated wine and thought it was a good thing from the earth, and so this satyr Silenus is he's top drawer, he's an intellectual. But satyrs like to go off into the woods. Let me just tell you that satyr, incidentally, in Greek myth is a guy with horse's ears and a horse's tail.
Obviously.
When the Romans take him over, they change him round, and now he's got a goat's legs and a little goatee beard and little horns, and the type of person you see in most university libraries.
Wait, isn't it? That's the guy from The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe.
Yeah, Mr. Tumnus.
Mr. Tumnus.
He's called a faun there, isn't he? But it's ostensibly
It's
the same thing. Yeah. So that's the Latin take on him. They often like to go into the woods and get inebriated because they're smart guys, and
that's what we all do.
That would most weekends. So he goes off into the woods and he gets drunk. Right now, in one version of the myth by a Greek historian called Theopompus, the river has been spiked by some shepherds. They poured wine into the river, so he's quite innocent. He's drinking this, and he gets drunk and he falls asleep. Now, the only reason I mention that version is because Theopompus is my favourite name ever.
It's an amazing name.
In fact, I have a fantasy son called Theopompus. He plays for Celtic, the Republic of Ireland, and his name is Theopompus. So, are you listening, Brazil?
That is a name.
That's a name.
I'd see that on the back of a shirt.
Definitely. Okay, so that's that. But anyway, all versions have him being captured by some shepherds and taken to King Midas. Now you'd expect, he's a prisoner, you'd expect him to get bad treatment, but King Midas respects this satyr. He's a bright boy. Silenus is a bright lad. So he throws a 10-day party, and Silenus is entertaining all the people at the party with his stories and with his philosophy, and it's all going great. Unless, of course, you read Nietzsche in The Birth of Tragedy. Silenus says that he said, the King Midas asks Silenus, what's the secret of life? And Silenus says, well, for humans, not to be born at all. And the second best thing is you die as soon as you possibly can. But that's Nietzsche for you, isn't it? Nietzsche doesn't like a good party, does he? He's the guy in the kitchen at the party moaning about
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, yeah. Anyway.
If he gets invited.
He wouldn't get invited, would he? Not with that moustache.
No.
So anyway, Midas takes Silenus back to Bacchus, and Bacchus is amazed by this. The king has treated this prisoner, my tutor, with real respect and real party celebrations, and so he says to Midas, "You can have whatever you want." And Midas says, "Right, okay, whatever I touch will turn to gold." This is cheeky. So he tests it out. He walks out and he touches a branch of a tree, turns to gold. He touches an apple, turns to gold. This is just fantastic. And he goes back to his house and he orders a feast. And first thing he does is drink a goblet of wine. It turns to liquid gold in his throat. And that's got to be unpleasant, hasn't it? I don't know if you ever drank liquid gold. But
there is a vodka that has. I think it might be vodka anyway. It's got like gold bits in it. It's not the same all, but I don't know what they're changing.
Well, if maybe he'd managed to mix it with a little bit of vodka, it would have been more palatable. But anyway, this is all nasty stuff, and he nearly breaks his teeth on an apple. First of all, his daughter comes to him one day and she says, "The roses in the garden don't smell sweet anymore, they're all hard." And he said, "Oh, that's really terrible," because he's turned them to gold, hasn't he, when he's sweet. But then he touches his daughter as well, and she turns to gold. So this is a disaster. Aristotle has something to say about this. He says this is a myth about money. And I'll give you a little quote from The Politics, which is a work by Aristotle. And Aristotle says, "Because it is of no use for any of the necessary needs of life, a man well supplied with money may be destitute of bare necessities." In Aristotle's version of the story, Midas dies of starvation or horrible death.
Of course.
Okay. Later on, though, we get a different version of the story. I think it might have been actually as late as the 19th century when Nathaniel Hawthorne, the great American writer, gives us a version of the story. And in this version, Midas goes back to Bacchus and says to him, "Listen, I made a big mistake." And Bacchus was like, "Yeah, you did, didn't you?"
Yeah, you did. That gold's ours still.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a point we might raise in a minute as well. Go and wash yourself in the river Poctolus. And when you wash yourself, the power will leave you. And he does. And the power goes into the water. And apparently, I don't know where the river Populus is, but if you go there now, it's got gold and sand all on the bottom of the river
very nice.
Because of Midas. And
Oh,
Midas can go back. I'm not sure what he goes back to the temple now, to his throne now, or his castle now, and he can turn his daughter back, but she doesn't get a mention.
He's to throw her in the water.
To throw her in the water, see what that will do. But the point is, the myth is a useful way of saying, for philosophers and for poets, and the Latins like Ovid take it up later on, and Horace, and they say, just watch out with wealth. There are other things more important and better than wealth. And Horace says, a country without gold is a happier country. Yeah. So
I mean, our economy would tank, wouldn't it? I mean, it did tank in 2008 when the Gordon Brown sold off it. Okay, fine. But I'm pretty sure from my knowledge, my limited knowledge anyway, Bacchus, we have this whole thing about Bacchanalian parties.
Yeah.
And I've got a funny feeling that Lamine Yamal is having plenty of Bacchanalian parties, right?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's getting pissed, everyone's shagging, everyone's, That's what I mean. I imagine it's like American Pie film, but in reality.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. It will be classical in that respect. You might find you found yourself back in ancient Rome, where the days of Nero or something, when everybody's getting out of their skulls,
everyone's fiddling,
behaving very, very badly. But one of the things that which is important to add to the story is this. There's a thing in Greek myth. One of the worst sins you can commit is hubris, and hubris means that you think that you're like one of the gods and entitled to what the gods have. And gold is associated with the gods, and hubris is always followed by nemesis. Okay, so hubris comes first, and then big punishment. There's a big fall from that, and that's a constant theme in Greek mythology. So every time this happens,
there's going to be a comeuppance. And I guess the most obvious example of that is Icarus, right? And Icarus flies too close to the sun, and his wings get burnt, and right. Okay, that makes sense. So what we're saying then is that if people make all these kind of almost just like, I mean. So Midas has lived his entire life really well. He's done a good job, and he treats prisoners well, all that kind of stuff. He's an ethical guy. He's a good guy, and he makes one bad choice. He lets that kind of hubris take over just once.
Yeah.
And from there, he gets all of these really bad kind of consequences of that. Yeah. So if we were to apply that to football, then what would? Are we saying that a wonder kid say that someone who's got a really promising career and is doing all the right things and they're working really hard, that they're just one bad decision away?
I think that is right. That is good. One of the best ways to you don't really understand this story if you don't look at an additional story, a parallel story about Bacchus actually. And Bacchus has 4 daughters, and Apollo gives them a gift, and whatever they touch, these 4 daughters will turn to corn, olive oil, or wine. All these natural, useful good things. Stuff. Midas's great calamity, the sin, if you like, is that he has chosen unnatural over natural, useless over useful. And that is a big theme. The natural is better than the unnatural. And money, gold, precious stuff is always considered by the philosophers as something that make the other choice. Don't make that choice. So in football, especially if you're a young, very, very wealthy boy in football, I think you're kind of faced with these choices, aren't you?
It's like a material reality where you chase after all the Gucci and the women, or you stick to that kind of that determination, that grit, and keep working hard. And, interesting. Yeah, because there is, you're right, in this kind of classical era, and when we kind of get to even Christianity, for instance, there's this big relationship between the mind and the body, and how we need to kind of stay away from all the stuff from lust and concupiscence and having concubines and mistresses and all these kinds of things. And focus on not the here and now. Focus on the future, if you like. And so Lamine Yamal, for instance, or any wonder kid really just have to have one eye on the future all the time.
Yeah.
Keep working towards that future.
I think so. One of the things that strikes me about, I don't know if you've seen, Adam, is celebration. Yamal's celebration draws a 304. Now that's because he comes from quite a poor area in Catalonia, a neighborhood in Catalonia called, I believe, Rocafunda. And that's the end of their postcode. So he's showing real solidarity with the community. It's a multicultural community. It's poor, and he's saying, you know, solidarity with you guys, and that's a good thing. And they really appreciate that. That's someone who came from them and is saying, is kind of celebrating them. And it's a really good thing, and it's natural.
Yeah,
and it's natural. If he follows the hubris, if he believes what people surrounding him are telling him, that he's a god. That's the he's at that
takes him away from his roots.
Yeah, it will, and that the roots thing and the community thing will become impossible if he follows the hubristic trail towards deification.
See, and that's actually really, I find that fascinating, because sometimes, and this is the thing with philosophy, or at least trying to apply philosophy to football, it doesn't always work, because when you compare that with someone, say, like a Ravel Morrison, so Ravel was probably seen as one of the greatest academy products of Manchester United. You know, all these ex-pros, they always say that he's probably the best player that they've ever seen play. Like, the things he's doing in training, he's making mugs of people. You know, he's doing some unbelievable things that people can't even express, right? And yet it never seems to work out for him, because you could say, at least the reports, they say that he's too close to his roots. He's never managed to kind of shake off all his friends that had kind of dragging him down a little bit. He's got this kind of this collection of hangers on who seem to keep pulling him back and keep pulling him back. And again, and it's probably the same. We were talking earlier about the other one, about the Portuguese guy, Hayim, and how, again, like he's turned to porn now, Jack.
He's a porn star.
He's a porn star. I don't think he's a porn star yet.
Oh, right, okay.
Certainly in porn.
Cameo roles.
Oh God! Imagine having a cameo in porn. Oh no!
God knows.
But again, like he came out and said, that he believed that he would have been better than Ronaldo. He'd have got the Ballon d'Or if he had had the same opportunities that Ronaldo had. And whether or not that's true is a different matter entirely. But he was, by all accounts, he was a very promising youngster. He managed to get a move to Chelsea under Philippe Scolari, and I think that, I can't remember when that was, but it was fairly early on in his career. So he's showing promise, and Scolari's going to know that from being the Brazil manager, and he's going to have a close eye on the Portuguese game. And so it's interesting to see kind of how your relationship with your past can impact your present, and obviously your future as well.
And it looked like, from the casual observer's point of view, it looks like he did have the opportunities Ronaldo had. He just didn't take them. Yeah. They were all there. It's the decisions you make. It's the decisions you make. Yeah, he chose not to take them. So don't be blaming the gods or fate or something, or bad luck. It's what you do.
And is that the moral of Midas' story? Don't blame the gods. It's the decisions that you make that you have to be accountable for.
It's a cautionary tale, and I think in its original form, it's a severe cautionary tale, because a king starves to death and kills his daughter. Things don't get worse than that, do they?
I don't think Lamine Yamal is going to turn into a murderer anytime soon. Or featuring any porn either, by the way.
That is true, but you were telling me about a party he had recently, his 18th birthday party. Come on, just remind me.
So all the reports are saying that he was trying to get lots of porn stars across to his party, but there were certain stipulations. So they had to show that they had, like, a certain breast size, for instance. And he's just a randy, horny teenager. That's what he is. He just so happens to be a multimillionaire. So, and also I think what's also happened as well is that people have tried to kind of get into his slipstream. So now we have also lots of other porn stars who are saying, "Oh yeah, no, he's messaged me as well," and and it's a very easy way to kind of attach yourself to the rising meteoric kind of rise, if you like, of this teenage superstar. Whether it's true is a different matter entirely, but the fact is, these things are happening, and these things, and then he gets his injury, the inflamed pubic area, which doesn't help anyone.
No, it really doesn't. And from the same party as well. He's in trouble with the Spanish Ministry of Justice, I think it is, because it seems that he hired people with dwarfism. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
And I know that people might be saying, listen, he's a boy, he's a teenage boy, cut him a bit of slack, but you never learn if people cut you all that slack. You've got to have someone close to you who's honest and natural, and he says to you, mate,
can't do that.
You can't do that.
And also, FYI, he is going to have an absolute PR team around him who are probably all saying, maybe don't do that. And he's just gone, it's funny.
Yeah.
He's just, okay, well. Actually, that's quite nice. And actually, I think we've been quite nice today, Jack. This is like this has real life implications here. We have given Lamine Yamal a cautionary tale that he needs to stop making potentially poor decisions, focus on the future, he helped Spain knock us out of the Euros in the final, so there's that. Fair play to him, wanker. But it doesn't matter. I'll forgive him as long as he keeps one eye on the future and stops inviting porn stars to his party.
I think we've been very generous. We've been like Bacchus in the story, haven't we? We've been forgiving and drunk at the
same time. That's later. Actually, on that, Jack, before we leave, right? Before I press stop on the record button, I've decided that I'm going to give you an opportunity to earn a pint from me.
Ooh,
that's the prize, right? I have been spending a lot of time on a new jingle, right? I say jingle is an exaggeration as to what I've managed to create, right? Because my editorial skills are not that good, right? But here it is, folks. This is the first episode of... Is it Camus? Or is it Cantona?
When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea.
So, Jack. The first quotation is...
Wait. So you're going to read me a quotation and I've got to say whether it's Camus or Cantona.
And if you get, let's say, I'm going to give you 5, okay? If you get 3 correct, I'll buy you a pint, right? Not that one anyway. Okay. Let's go with... In the depths of winter, I finally learned that within me lay an invincible summer.
That's Camus. I know that's Camus. Don't tell me that's not Camus. That is Camus right there.
That is Camus.
Hey!
That's one. I need something better than that. I don't know what we're going to go with. I'll tell you what we'll do this. I am sure to be a bad actor in a bad movie, but maybe one day I could be a good actor in a good movie.
As far as I know, Camus never took to the stage or to the screen. Cantona, on the other hand, had a nice little bit of a career, didn't he? Remember around fine.
You're doing all right here, aren't you? You're doing all right. No, it's fine. I'll make it harder. Here we go. I prefer to be a man of passion than a man of reason.
Ooh. Now that could be either of them, couldn't it?
That's the idea, Jack.
I'm just going to have to guess on this one, and I am going to say that Cantona.
That's really annoying because it's Cantona. Well, folks, that ended very, very quickly. And this is also, incidentally, why you should pay heed to what we're saying. Because Jack is very clearly a very wise man who knows things that no one else should be able to know.
I'm a satyr.
You're a satyr. Right. Anyway, we're way past time, Jackie. We're way past time.
Again.
So... It is going to be... Oh, actually, what are we going to do next week? Are we doing Baudrillard and hyper-reality?
We are.
We're going to do Baudrillard and hyper-reality. And as we close this episode down, I am going to put up the video of Catherine Connolly doing a many keepy uppies. So after that happens, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
Bye now.